When there's a hole in the bucket and the straw for patching it is too long, if your knife is too dull, try Fragments of Silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I am your host, Adam. Joining me as always are Petty and Gallix. Right, let us get to the collective musings of life that we loosely call the news. Petty, why don't you start us off this week?
Oh, where to even begin? It's been an interesting week. Mom finally came back home. So, yay. She spent 12 days in the hospital. Here's hoping she actually listens to us when we tell her she should probably go see a doctor instead of getting too near deathly ill. Um as far as other life things, I was looking to see about Medicaid offers a thing for like in-home help, and I was looking to see if my sister and I qualify. For some reason, they're saying I don't because I'm too independent, which is hilarious. So we're going to see if we can get a copy of that evaluation and possibly either appeal it or just reapply in 90 days. Cause yeah, I wish I was, independent enough to not need help.
Right.
But for some reason they approved my sister. Which I mean, in many aspects, she's a little more independent than I am. I don't know if it's because of her specifically one-armedness. For anyone new who doesn't know, both my sister and I have cerebral palsy. I have spastic diplegia in my legs, and my sister has right hemiparesis. My legs don't work right, and my sister's right side does not work right. So I don't know if they're taking the fact that her arm does not work well and weighing that heavier than the fact that just both my legs don't work well. So that's something we will look into the options on that. Um, I ended up ordering a new fan. Well, this has been kind of an ordeal. I ordered one like late last week because I ordered a fan that specifically does heating and cooling because my old fan died and I was getting sick of having to swap out fans every few months because welcome to Missouri, it gets freaking cold here. So I was looking for a one that does double duty. First fan I got, I plugged it in and it spun up for a little bit, and I opened it and screws fell out, which was already a bad sign. And then I plugged it in to see if it worked, and it spun for a little bit and then jerked to a halt and almost fell off the base. So I'm like, yeah, no, this is not going to work. So I sent that back and got another fan, a different brand. For some reason, this one didn't have the screws for the bottom. Luckily, I do stuff with computers, so I have screws everywhere. So I was able to find some screws that fit it, and it works fine. So luckily, that one doesn't need to go back, because that would have sucked. Because for some reason they didn't do UPS wouldn't pick it up. I had to go find a UPS drop off location for it. And the original fan was the box they sent it was almost as tall as I am, and I'm 5'9". So it was a pain in the ass getting it in and out of the car. I don't want to try and do that again. So yeah, hopefully this will work at least for a while. I'm in the process of looking to find a replacement loft bed just because mine's still broken and it's not something that can easily be repaired because the slats are welded instead of just like wooden slats you can replace. So I'm looking into that while I still have some money because it's better than sleeping on the hide-a-bed downstairs. So that's been a process because I really only have one shot of getting it right bed because trying to send something that large back isn't going to happen. Because I'm looking at the shipping weight on some of these and they're over 100 pounds. So yeah, that's. I'm not getting that to a drop off location without significant assistance if it needs to go back. Um, but yeah, it's this specific last few days have been relatively quiet. Helped mom and dad get their tax stuff in because we didn't know how long mom was going to be in the admitted to the hospital. You know, she could have been in there for another week, and that would have been, oh well, your taxes are a week late. That's a problem, especially because dad wasn't admitted. So it would be like, why didn't you do it? So I believe mom mentioned that the lady who we usually hire to do our taxes is doing it. So it's just going to be a matter of paying her for preparing them and hopefully getting that in before next week, which we should have enough time because they don't have any like any weirdness with all of that. So as far as gaming goes, I got my box of Digimon Generation AD1 for the card game, and I got the thing with this set. It was a bunch of reprints, and some of the cards I got before they
Yeah,
were
there's 25 new cards and 170 reprints.
yeah. Before the reprint pack, a lot of the cards I got, if I were to just order them as singles, it would have sent me back a couple $100.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the reprint has drove those prices down, but they're still very useful cards.
Uh-huh.
So, I now don't have to order, at least 3 of them I actually really needed and was going to order regardless if I got them in the box or not. But now I don't need to order another $100 in cards. Oh, there are still some stuff I want to order while they're still cheap. I want to finish my sister's Mastemon deck up. I want to see about finishing Medusamon. And then there was one other deck I wanted to finish building. I don't remember offhand, but it's sitting in my TCG player cart. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of because the set's new enough, a lot of the people are still pulling stuff so the prices are low. So it's better to swoop in now and get the stuff what's cheap than oh no, people can't find the product anymore, prices start skyrocketing back up. So that's been interesting. As far as video games specifically, because of Mac's life, we've not been able to do Final Fantasy 14 for a hot minute.
We don't know if he's going to be online this week.
Yeah, fun. So yeah, that's still been, I guess, on pseudo hiatus to whenever Mac is not in threat of being sent to live with the wolves. Are they even wolves in Arizona? I don't know. Probably coyotes.
Coyotes.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
I remember when my aunt was living out there, she had to have a nightstick keep them at bay.
Fun. And then my sister and I are also looking into getting a Nintendo Switch 2. I've heard rumors of a special edition Legend of Zelda one, which, if that's an option, I'd like to get that, because I've always wanted one of the special edition Legend of Zelda consoles, but never had the money for it. So, if that happens before people have been saying there's going to be a Switch 2 price jump, so it basically depends on what happens first. Either another Switch 2 bundle with a game we both can agree on that we want comes out, the price jump comes out, or the Legend of Zelda Special Edition comes out. So, either way, hopefully by the end of the year we will see about getting a Switch 2. So, it's happening. We just don't know when. In like personal playing, I guess, news, I tried playing the Gex trilogy, and I had some real weird audio issues. I need to see if that's just trying to do it on remote play in the front room, or if there's
No,
another.
Petty, he's supposed to say it's tail time every fucking time.
No, it sounded like it was.
I know, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it sounded like it was just static coming through my speakers, but other games worked fine. So it's something wrong with Gex.
I mean, I
And
haven't heard anything too egregious with the Gex trilogy. I know some of limited runs other emulated games recently ran into problems,
yeah,
like Tomba 2.
Tomba. There was also an issue with the Rocket Knight collection.
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if it's just an issue with my game or specifically trying to run it through um the remote play, which it's possible some games just don't like remote play and they haven't made mention of it because it's not the most used feature ever. And I also did I beat the quote unquote story of Once Upon a Katamari. But as with Katamari games, there's still the like post game content.
The
So
story is just the beginning reasons of why you need to go
yeah,
out and roll shit up while the best music in the world plays.
yeah, basically. And I think all the DLC, at least currently, is just music, which, I mean, while quaint, YouTube exists. I can just listen to whatever music I want. I'm not paying $20 to $30 for music tracks in game.
Yeah, that's what I say when I look at the Final Fantasy IX soundtrack asking for 20, they're asking $20 for it on Steam. I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah. Or that's kind of like what I said with Digimon Story Time Stranger. There was a DLC for the anime music tracks, and I'm like, my brother in Christ, I'm playing this on PC. I literally already have it open in a YouTube window on the other monitor. So, and I guess on Time Stranger, we are starting to do the DLC. They're meatier than I thought they were. I figured we'd be able to hammer them all out in an evening. No, they are fairly lengthy.
What have we learned?
Um Grind
Don't size
more.
up DLCs before they've hatched.
Fair. Granted, I've also was trying my damnedest to dodge spoilers because these are post-game DLCs, so people think it's cute to talk about spoilers because these are meant to be done in the post-game. I'm like, yeah, no, we're gonna dodge that. So I had no idea how long these were. I am happy that they are at least not like 1 hour experiences. They were trying to charge what, $10, $12 for? But no, they're actually like decently sizable chunks. So yeah, that's been happening, and I think that's it for me. Actually, lengthy news bit for me this time.
Indeed. Galax?
Well, I'm continuing to feel better, so that's good.
Hooray! You don't need to be the
Still,
next one admitted to the hospital.
yeah, still occasionally coughing more than I would like to, but
Right. You have
it's
not passed out yet,
less
though,
in general.
right?
Yeah. Excuse me, one second.
Jesus.
But yeah, it's just it's tolerable generally.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's happening. I took care of my taxes yesterday. I forgot how easy e-filing is, so
Yeah.
I was looking into how I would need to do it, and it was easy enough to just do it, so I did.
Yeah, unless you have like various assets like stocks and stuff, for the most part, your taxes are relatively handled. It's just
Uh-huh.
sitting down and hitting the button to e-file.
Uh-huh. So that went well. Let's see, what else? Not too much going on around here, really.
Mm.
I guess. Oh yeah, I also got my Digimon cards. I wanted to get like a couple of boxes of this, preferably because it's a huge set, and there are several things that I was fishing for.
And the resale prices are like what, $100 a box? Last I looked.
Yeah, but unfortunately, my local shop only got like they got 5 in their first shipment or something, or 8 in their first shipment. And we're only
Oof.
expecting like 3 more. So they got enough for like 1 box for most of their regulars, but
Mm-hmm.
that's about it.
Right.
Um, and unfortunately, I didn't get any X antibody protoforms, which are
It's
unfortunately really important if you want to play a deck with basically any X antibody Digimon in
the
them.
only good thing is on TCG Player they're like less than $5 right now.
Yeah, no,
So
it will at least make it easier to get them secondhand if I want
yeah,
to, but it would have been easier if I just had them. I
right.
hadn't realized how big this set was.
I didn't either. I also thought we were getting full boxes, but no, these are Japanese half boxes.
Yeah. So anyway, that went fairly well. Let's see. Video game wise, I have continued to play Super Robot Wars Y. I am getting near the end of Chapter 7 after spending quite a while playing through the DLC pack up to the point that you can do in the DLC in Chapter 5, because the first DLC pack's last mission unlocks during Chapter 5. The second DLC pack unlocks or has its last mission unlock during Chapter 6. So, not quite done with that. And we are probably within a couple of weeks of them announcing if there's going to be a further expansion pass for that game, which a
hmm
lot of people are expecting there to be because there's some documentation on Steam about updates for games that come in advance, and there's supposed to be a large one coming at some point.
hmm
So we'll see how that goes. Um, Pokemon Champions came out, and I'm watching people playing it mostly so far. I am not super much for competitive Pokemon. I still need to get back to Legends ZA and actually do enough online play to unlock the Megastones in that.
hmm
Though
Or
we
are
have
those
gotten
just like available? I didn't know if that was like they cycled out after so long.
what do you mean?
Like,
So far they've been available every month. They don't
mm,
have to keep doing that,
right.
but so far they have. And now I think all of them are available in the first like 12 or so ranks.
Mm.
they have generally been making it so you have to be less good to get them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is what that is about. They have revealed, I guess they had to, what all of the new Megas' abilities are, and there are some interesting choices there, as well as some things that got really boring things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, keeping an eye on that to decide how much of my, like, it's free, so I could just
And
do it, but I'd probably do
isn't that
some
phone available as well?
it's going to be, but it is not
Mm.
yet.
Ah,
But yeah, it's a free game, but I'm trying to decide how much of my time it's worth.
no, that's valid.
Because honestly, PvP battling is my least favorite thing in Pokemon.
Well, and I've heard a
And I'm
lot
not
of
a
people
huge
aren't big fans of this one.
and I'm not a huge fan of. Well, it's apparently launched. It has launched with, even, like, they said it wasn't going to have everything, but it's launched with even less content than people were expecting, I think.
Right.
Particularly involving held items. Some of it might be tweaks for balance, but also there's just a lot of options that aren't there. So, yeah, keeping an eye on that for now. And I think that's all I've got.
Hmm.
All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to fast forward through my segment, and just get to the interview. So, joining us this week is Roger Precious of Big Fat Simulations.
How's everybody doing?
We're doing well.
Good.
How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be on your show. I'm enjoying it so far.
Mhm.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
Right. So how we like to get started is we like to get to know the people behind the games, the studio, and all of that assorted business. And we begin this journey by asking this particular question: what got you interested in video games, both on a professional and a personal level?
I've never been a huge gamer, if I'm being completely honest. Never a huge gamer. I still play Return to Castle Wolfenstein, if you can believe that. I just don't have enough time. And when I feel like doing some shooting, I just gravitate to what I think has to be like the best game I've played, and how could it possibly be more fun? I'm sure there are many, many, many games that are so much better quality than that now. But what got me into it was my day job. So I'm an air traffic controller. And way back when I was a trainee learning how to be a controller, and I struggled, like a new person struggles at a new job. And I remember talking to my wife and pushing pieces of paper around the dinner table and saying, "Let's pretend that's a 747, and we'll pretend this is an Airbus." And I try to come up with creative ways of controlling air traffic using these pieces of paper. And then I realized I could probably whip together like an animation somehow online, like with my computer. And I discovered Macromedia Flash back in 2006. Flash was totally where it's at. It was like, that's it. And so I started to whip together this little simulation. Little blips on the screen, they have an altitude, they've got a speed, very rudimentary controls. And I kept working on this little simulation, and it really helped me, actually. It helped me with my day job. I could visualize better at work because I'd spent freaking hours playing with this thing the night before. And I remember showing it to my instructor, and he says to me, "That's pretty good. That's really good. We should go show this to the training department. Maybe the training department wants to somehow incorporate this." And the training department, they saw me for what I was. I wasn't a programmer. They said, "This guy's a hack. He's whipped this little Flash thing together." They already had a fairly robust training solution. So they said, no thanks. So I kept building it, put a price tag on it, stuck it on every Flash game portal I could find. And it was a pretty bad first game, but I remember thinking I was going to give up, and someone said to me, several people had said, "Dude, this game sucks." And then someone said, "But don't stop. Keep going. Like make a second game, make a third game. Just keep, flinging spaghetti at the wall until it sticks," kind of thing. So I came up with a different air traffic control game that wasn't a radar game. It was more of like a runways game. It was like runways and taxiways, less radar, more explosions. And that did really well. And I started seeing YouTube videos of people playing my game, and they'd be laughing at the explosions. And like at first it kind of hurt my feelings. Like I felt like saying, "Hey, that's not how you play the game, okay?" But then I realized actually that's the fun part. Like the explosions, the cool part.
Yeah, you
So
can make
I
airplanes
started making.
explode and not go to jail for the rest of your natural life.
Well, yeah, I know. I know it feels a little dark right now. Like for years I've been really like playing my game, watching explosion after explosion. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And now I'm like as of 3 weeks ago, I'm kind of sober. Like I
Yeah.
feel awful. And I feel like I don't know. Sorry folks, game is canceled. Uh no, I'm not going to cancel the game, but it's just, it's so sad. I feel it, because I'm an
Mhm.
air traffic controller. Like I my doctor, when I go for my aviation medical, they always ask me these standard questions. Do you do drugs? No. How do you sleep at night? Great. Do you ever have dreams of mid-airs? And I'm always very honest, and I say no. But I don't know. I've been having a few of those lately.
Understandable given the present circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So there you go. I can keep talking, or you can ask me questions, whatever works.
well, I suppose, when did these games evolve into, well, I guess what your signature franchise is, Airport Madness?
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
so when did Airport Madness come onto the scene?
Came on the scene in 2009, Airport Madness 1. It was just called Airport Madness at the time because I didn't imagine I was going to make freaking 11 Airport Madnesses. I had no idea that there would be like 26 Airport Madnesses. So it was called Airport Madness, and that was fun, and it did really well on the Flash game portals. And in hindsight, I wish I just built that out and just kept building it, making it better and better and bigger. But I decided let's make a second version. So I made a second version that was kind of a more of the same. And then I made a third version that I thought was infinitely better. And then a fourth, fifth, and then a sixth game that was about real world airports. And then about 10 years ago, I Flash had officially died. Everybody had been telling me Flash is dead, Flash is dead. I didn't care because I wasn't actually using Flash. I was using Adobe's Air technology, and I was
Yeah.
able to make iPhone apps. And then one day it just became impossible. Like Adobe never said they were in the iOS Android app business. They were into animations for the web space. So they were kind of in a tight spot trying to make this thing work for everybody. And my games began to survive by going on forums and asking people, "Hey, how do I attach a digital signature to this executable?" And it was getting really challenging. And one day someone said, "You should be using Unity or Unreal Engine." So I switched to Unity, and it's been so much fun. Like it's been so much fun ever since. Now it's a 3D space, and you click a button, you get your iOS version. You click another button, you get the Android version. And a much better game dev platform. A lot of my
Surprised
graphics,
there.
they're not. What's that?
A bit surprised there. A lot of Flash developers went over to HTML5.
Is that right? Yeah, I guess so. I guess I could have done that. Hey, I was really intent on going 3D. I really wanted 3D, and I wanted it for iOS and Android, and just seemed like everybody was pointing me to that using
Yeah, I
Unity.
guess it also depends on your use case. Like something like this would be better served in a 3D environment compared to something more 2D, which what HTML5 is a little bit more geared towards now.
For performance, you mean like in a browser?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose. My last game, Approach Control, that I made about 4 months ago, that's it's not as popular as My Airport Madness. It's very niche.
Mm.
Like most people look at it and it's not for them, but the people that find it, they love it. Like the people that are maybe a real world air traffic controller or a real world pilot, they get right into it. And it's 2D, and it's just a departure from what I'm used to. I'm used to this,
Mhm.
3D airport scenarios, and then to switch to a 2D radar environment. It was actually a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite games to play, but I'm a weirdo, so
Well, you
second to
you write what you know,
Mhm.
so to speak.
yeah, you write what you know, and knowing about air traffic control is extremely helpful, but it also works against me sometimes because I get so focused on what's real. I'll spend a lot of time fussing over the realism of Chicago O'Hare, and I'm thinking, shoot, they canceled one of their runways, they added two new ones, and I gotta fix this, I gotta fix this. But the reality is 99.6% of my players don't care.
Yeah.
They don't know what Chicago O'Hare looks like. They don't care that it's got new runways. I get the odd email where someone says, when are you going to update O'Hare? When are you going to update Hong Kong? But like that one person, I should just give that person a refund and say, it's never coming.
Well, and realistically, the people who would full on quote unquote care are probably playing something more in depth like Microsoft Flight Simulator that have
Yeah,
full
yeah.
teams who this is their day job to keep them up to date.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, not me. It's
Yeah.
just me and a very part-time artist. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wrestle over this. Do I hire a team? Do I put a team together? Probably make more money, but then I'm got more headaches and
Yeah.
probably costs more money. I might lose money. I don't know. It's kind of fun just being by myself on this.
Right.
I mean,
But
it seems like it's been steady business so far.
it's been remarkably steady. It's been unbelievably steady. It's not a fortune. It's just like back in 2008 when when the first App Store came, I guess that wasn't the first App Store, but when the iOS App Store came along, it was like a gold rush. And all you had to do was just get any kind of an app out there, and that's it, you're making money. Like you make an app that makes fart sounds, you, sir, are getting rich. But
Remember that?
now it's at the point where it's just like a traditional business. It's like having an old Italian restaurant, run by mom and pop, and you break your back working on it. You put your life into this restaurant, and you'll make a profit, but you're not going to be rich. And that's where I'm at. Is I put a lot of work into it, makes a bit of money, covers the expenses, sort of makes it worth my time, I guess you could say. But it's not a fortune.
Mhm.
But that's okay because
But-
I'm doing it because I love it.
You know what? Given the volatility overall of the video games industry, especially right now, that is no small thing.
Yeah, that's true. If you're making money, yeah.
Mm. Like, I mean, having the digital video game equivalent of Treasury Bill is good, actually.
Mhm.
Definitely.
But anyway, so how, other than jumping to 3D, have the Airport Madness games evolved over the years?
Well, like I said, it started out as 2D, so you're just up in space looking down at an airport that's clearly not real, very cartoony. The first three or four were like that. The fourth one became a bit more polished. I got my artist involved, and she did a great job. And then after we made the fourth one, she said, "Okay, you got to stay out of it. You got to let me do the art. Like just because I had Photoshop open. Oh, here, I can help with the menus." And she said, no, just stay out of it. You do the code. So I let her do all the art, and I think the game started to look better and better. I made a fifth Airport Madness that was called, it was about a time machine where you're at an airport in 1925 and it evolves over 50 years. And that was super cool from like an like almost an art perspective. But
Mhm.
it wasn't really a fun game, if I'm being honest. It wasn't that fun. And so I came up with the sixth version, which was finally about real world airports. And so I had lots of.
If it makes you feel any better, that does match how Flight was back in that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Well, anyway, I got to the sixth one, real airports. I had some really cool airports. And then, but I was still in the 2D environment. It was still top down. And I kept promising everybody that I was going to make a 3D version. And I had no idea how
Yeah.
Flash was going to handle it. Like my computer was going to like melt or something when I tried to do that. So got into Unity in 2016 and made Airport Madness 3D. And that was the first time I broke free of that 2D scenario. And I continued to make real world airports, and I made 9 of them on that volume, and then I decided to create a second volume for no other reason than here's a bunch more airports. The two games are virtually identical, but with different airports. And I don't know if that was smart or not, but that's what I did. And what I'm working on now is called Airport Madness Evolution. And people are accusing me of making my old Airport Madness time machine all over again. But I think this one's cool because it's not spanning time. It's just an airport that evolves. Like the airport starts, you're in the jungle, and you're clearly, it's clearly like a cartel type of operation. You've got these twin otters landing and picking up strange looking packages and taking off. And then they make the runway bigger. We add taxiways. Then we need a bigger parking lot. Then there's gates being added, and then another runway and another terminal. And it evolves from this cartel type operation into like an international. And you're right at the gateway to the jungle. You're right there at the Sumatra jungle, and like you feel like you're going to get eaten alive by tigers or snakes or something when you're playing the game. I think it'll be a good one if I ever finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the state of completion?
The state of completion is I promised June 26th, but I'm thinking, how do I break this to everybody? I don't know. I've had a few problems. Like it's still built on some of my original code, and it's really bad code. So I'm rewriting it very carefully. And how far do I go? I've basically restructured all my code, and now I'm not familiar with it. And coders get this sort of, or video game developers get writer's block sometimes. At least I do, where I'm just kind of, I don't feel like I can get into it, and so sometimes I just need to kind of take a retreat for a week. But I'm really trying to get this sucker done, and it's my hope that it'll be sometime in July.
Yeah,
That's the plan.
this is the kind of thing that um, the reason why most companies out there will not reveal a release date until they're almost absolutely sure.
Yeah. I was at GDC and in San Francisco, and everybody was saying, "Look, you've got to have a release date. You got to get the product page up there on Steam like 6 months early, and if you don't, then you're not going to be successful." So it's really hard to do everything. It's hard to know that there's this date that's coming up and then hit that mark. So I'm really just I'm just one person, and I'm building, 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 and probably annoying people who happen to like the game. Statistically, there've got to be 3 or 4 of those people, and they're going to be disappointed that it didn't arrive when I promised. But when it does get completed, I think it'll be a nice game. I think it'll have the qualities of a fun game.
I mean, as long
And
as people aren't getting angry and sending bad messages to you.
Yeah.
yeah, I get a few of those. Yeah, I need like after I get a bad email, and sometimes people are just unbelievably rude, and I have to tell myself this is like a 12-year-old that's really upset because he just blew $4, which is probably all the money they had on a level in my game, and for whatever reason they're not happy. And so I get these emails, and it usually takes me like 10 or 11 positive emails before I feel like I'm breaking even again. Tough. It's tough when someone says, you're not good at what you do. It's
Yeah.
really, really tough to hear that. But oh well, can't take it too personally, I
Mhm.
suppose.
No, I mean, it depends on how bad things are because, okay, we've had developer friends who've gotten death threats over
Oh
like
no.
delays and stuff. So,
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
you know,
Wow. Yeah, I
people
don't think
can
I'm.
be very extreme.
Mhm.
Yeah, they can. It's mostly noise, but
Yeah.
I guess I'm not quite there yet with the death threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We
think you
hope
have to
you
have a
never
really good.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but so do you build for Steam or mobile these days?
Both iOS, Android, Steam, Mac App Store, and then off my website. I sell PC and Mac versions directly off the website, direct download. And I'm not sure what's next. I know a lot of people want it on Linux, and I've thought about making it for Nintendo Switch and everything else. But every time I add a new platform, I've got to buy the hardware and test it and adapt it. And so I think maybe I'm on enough devices, and if people really want to play the game, they can come to me. And if I was to
Yeah.
go on to a new platform, I'd have to get on that platform and promote, and that takes me away from the other platforms. So
Mhm.
I sometimes wonder if I shouldn't just be on iOS, like just there, and I put all my energy into that. But oh well, I think I'm reasonably well spread out at the moment.
Mhm.
I mean,
But maybe I'm not.
it might depend on where the source of revenue is.
Right.
Yeah, if you're getting most of your
Yeah,
money from iOS, then it would make the most sense to be there, and so on and so forth.
that's right, and it is iOS, iPhone.
Mhm.
That's where everybody is playing Airport Madness 3D Volume 2. That's where most of the action is. I guess every developer is going to have the game and the platform and the particular in-app purchase that is the gold mine, and then much of everything else is just kind of a noise.
Have you ever been approached by Apple to bring one of your games to Apple Arcade?
Not officially, but I get those emails that say, dear developers, uh, we want
Join
to introduce
us.
you to Apple. Yeah, but there are a lot of developers out there. I've been trying to get down to Cupertino to like be in person so I can meet some of these folks face to face. But every time I apply, they always tell me that the session's full.
Yeah.
So it's really, really tough to get in there.
I'd imagine.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're busy people down there.
So I have a question, at least for Airport Madness. How like true to life are the airport models? Are like modeled after the real things, or are they just like this is an airplane type deals?
Yeah, I see what you mean. They're reasonably accurate. It just, I don't know how far to take it.
Because
I
yeah, if you
thought
get
about making
if you get too close, people from let's say Boeing or Airbus might be knocking on your door, and we don't want that.
yeah, I know. I think about that a lot. Like I try to have respect for these people that have products and they don't want it tainted by a video game involving explosions. So
Yeah, and
everything
especially
that's in
someone
my
who
game,
probably doesn't have the money to buy the actual licensing rights for that.
yeah, and that's why I stay away from real world airline names. Like you know, I don't have a particular airline that I
Mm.
feature. I have a few. I'm going to introduce some liveries, which are the aircraft paint jobs that look strikingly similar to some major world airlines. And I've got it rigged so that if an airline ever emails me and says cease and desist, get that off your game now. All I have to do is go to my website and turn off that feature flag, and then you'll never see that paint job again. So I can do it like within seconds. I'm actually ready in advance. If they come calling, I figured they'd probably fire a warning shot, and then I'll just take
The
it all
kill
down.
switch is underneath the desk. I just need to hit the big red button.
Yeah, yeah. It's really tough. Like, I don't know what other people do, but like, I think about a real game like Grand Theft Auto. By the way, I just downloaded Grand Theft Auto 5. I've never played it before. I just know I
Mm,
need to um, try a new game,
yeah,
something newer than Return to Castle Wolfenstein. So I'm going to try it, but I know that it shows real world stores and all
yeah.
kinds of brands. So I wonder how they handle it.
Well, to be fair, Rockstar, especially at that point, had money. They paid for
Oh, yeah.
licensing rights.
Oh, really? So they didn't just go and, put like Denny's restaurant in the game without getting a license for it.
Oh yeah, no, they very very much so. They have like the licensing rights for that. That's why for a little while, was it GTA 4 that was delisted
Oh, really? Wow.
because some of the licensing rights expired, so they had to renew those or just not sell it anymore.
Yeah, wow. Of course they expire. Oh, that makes it tough.
Yeah,
It's tough to make a game, you know? Tough to make the game, then it's tough to sell the game. And then if you're really successful, then people say, hey,
make
that's my,
more.
yeah, or they say, hey,
Yeah,
that's my product that you're featuring. So take
yeah,
that off of your game.
yeah. You owe me money. Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. Here's all the money that I made ever in the world. Here you
Yeah.
go. I see you're playing my approach control on your screen there.
I have
Yeah, that was
the
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 cheat.
footage rolling from the
Right,
Google
right.
Drive.
You're not actually playing it, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the game I released 4 months ago, and
Mhm.
it's been okay. It's not a big player. It's not a big game. It's not for everybody, obviously, but real world pilots, they email me and they correct me on a lot of things. They say, well, hey, how come there's no this and there's no that?
Yeah. I guess have like aspiring air traffic controllers use your game as practice?
Yeah, in fact, that's why I made this approach control that you're seeing on the screen right now. This was essentially it's version 2 of my very first game. I made a
Mhm.
game many, many years ago, and I got several emails last year from people saying, "Hey, I love your game. I like that game, but I want you to know that there's this broken button, and I want you to know the icon doesn't work anymore." And I finally got an email. It was like the sixth email I'd gotten in if just a few months, and someone said, "Hey, I just wanted you to know that I've been an air traffic controller for 10 years, and back in the day in the school, my friends and I would project your game on the screen, and one of us would be the keyboard and mouse, and then somebody
Mhm.
had to stand up and say, American 162, turn left heading 180, maintain 3000." And so that he was thanking me for that. And I decided, that's it. That's it. There's enough. I looked at the earnings, which weren't great, but I thought, I'll bet in 100 hours flat, I could have a second version of this game up
Mhm.
that would be a lot more polished. And so that's what I've done. I've recreated it entirely, and I've added a bunch of features. And there's a lot of it in there that no one's going to care about, but I care about, and a real
Mhm.
world air traffic controller would care about, like wake turbulence separation criteria
Mhm.
and the difference between true airspeed and indicated airspeed, which means nothing to anybody, but to an air traffic controller, that's huge. That's like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy nailed it. Like,
But
that's
that's the
real.
difference between somebody, hitting the ground and landing safely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But again, this is where being a real world air traffic controller sometimes works against me as a game developer
Mhm.
because I get almost OCD. I'll say that compression doesn't look right. They're not slowing down properly. I need to spend 8 hours tweaking this. But the player probably couldn't care less.
Oh
They
yeah.
probably don't care. They're
Unless
probably
they're
thinking, well,
actually already a traffic controller or going to school to be one, they just see blinking boxes moving across the screen essentially.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I guess it probably looks kind of boring to someone that isn't into aviation, but like as a real world controller, it's such a fun job. I always say it's a sport. It's like, it
Mhm.
feels like a sport. Like we're competitive and we all think we're better than everybody else. when we're working. Like I'll plug in. I'll
Mhm.
show Jim who's the controller here, and
Yeah.
um, so when I made this game, it's all about who's the best, who can run them the fastest, the tightest, and I feel it. But I don't know if a newbie, someone that's new to air traffic control, is really going to get it. But
Mhm.
there's definitely a finite amount of airspace and time, and the planes, if you don't land them fast, they tend to kind of back up, and the game ends pretty quick.
Yeah, and it's like with this, if you mess up, you can hit restart. If this is your job and you mess up, bad
Oh
things
my gosh.
happen.
Oh, I
Very,
know. I'm
very
still
bad
traumatized.
things.
I'm still traumatized from Breaking Bad. That Albuquerque episode. Oh my gosh. That just hit a nerve for me.
Mhm.
Never mind dead bodies in a bathtub. It was
Yeah.
like this, that was scary seeing that radar portrayal of a midair.
Yeah.
I
Oh, do you have anything else, Adam?
no no outside of asking, so outside of Airport Madness Evolution, what's next for you?
Well, I'm going to see how this goes. If people still have an appetite for all things Airport Madness, I'll come up with more versions. But if if I get the sense that this is it, there's 12 versions of Airport Madness, then I'm excited to go forward on Runway Tycoon,
Mm.
which would be like an idle game where you get money and you add a runway, you make a bit of money, you add a taxiway, you add gates, and it's not like other tycoon games where you're building a beautiful airport with a terminal. This is all about throughput. It's all about like how many runways, how many
Yeah.
taxiways.
Being
Um,
efficient, not being pretty, basically.
yeah, it's just all about who can make the most money at being an airport manager.
Mhm.
And it's going to be quite fictitious because I don't know what it's like to be an airport manager. And maybe
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I was
Like
about to say,
because I'm
you
just focusing
probably
on.
don't want to know that.
Oh, I know, because if you're too professional, if you're an airport manager and you're going to make a video game, the first 20 minutes is all going to be about, all right, let's focus on the capital gains exemption.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound like a fun game.
I guess, like, for any of these, have you thought about, because I know there are bots that show, like, various like, airlines going about. Have you ever thought about doing, like, an idle mode where it pulls from that data and just, like, have almost like a screensaver mode of, like, what various airlines are doing?
It sounds like a great idea. I know that I don't know where all this information comes from, but I know that apps like Flight Radar 24,
Yeah.
whether it's through licensing or what, they get the info and they get to show it to you. If I could get that info, I could convert it to make it look sort of like what you're seeing on your screen right now
Yeah.
in my approach control game. And I think that would be really cool.
Because I
I
know
could even
that
generate.
there are like some kids who especially have like interest in planes and may not be able to like think through like the actual airport control, but just being able to see the planes flying around. Rough approximations would be cool, even just as like a little desktop app almost.
That would be a great idea.
Oh
A
no, I've
nice
added feature
passive.
creep.
Yeah, I know. You just added 2 more months to my release date.
Sorry guys, that's my
No,
bad.
that's okay. Ah, it's a good idea.
Hmm.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
All right, I
Well,
don't think I
I've
have any
run
more
through my
questions.
game.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Galax, do you have anything?
I think I'm good, thanks.
All right.
All
All
right,
right,
guys. Well,
Roger.
thanks very much.
Indeed, it was lovely having you. A nice change of
Yeah.
pace. Um,
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity.
hmm Anyway, the games are Airport Madness and Approach Control. You can find them on iOS, Android, Mac App Store, and Steam. So go and play one today. Like, Petty, if you can, play us to the next segment, please. All right, so welcome to the topic of discussion. We're still on the Super Mario Galaxy movie. They say they're not building up to Smash Brothers, but dear God, it's just the second movie, and there are so many character cameos already.
I guess it might just not be Smash per se because there are certain characters that they cannot easily get reliably or fit in
Right.
tonally. And I think if you called it a Smash Brothers movie and didn't at least have the core 12 in it, people would be very annoyed.
Probably why the words NCU or the letters NCU has been floated around, because okay, this week we're talking about Rob, the robot operating buddy, because he has a cameo in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Now, he was the one who
Related to the
was.
Star Fox one?
I don't know. I haven't seen his picture.
Well, I'm mostly joking because the Star Fox has Rob 64, which is a reference to Rob, but not the same thing.
Yeah. But original Rob has shown up in the Smash games, I believe.
Yes, he was introduced as a playable character and kind of important story character in Brawl and has been in since.
Mm-hmm. So he's a bit of a fixture in game. But his original form saved the video game industry. Because all right, going
You may have
back,
heard of the video game crash and the fact that Nintendo
it,
sort of defeated the video game crash. A
but
key factor of their ability to do that was their ability to sell the Nintendo Entertainment System as not a video game console.
But here's where the history gets revisionist. People go, it was Mario who was yes, the breakthrough character, but he wasn't the preordained focus. Like, the marketing did not center around Mario. Mario, believe it or not, was just another game. And because Nintendo had to beat the thinking at retail at the time, which is, video game consoles have had their time in the sun. Right now it's, Transformers or those fucking keyboards that existed all over the 80s. So, the point is, they didn't want video game consoles, and Nintendo had to sneak their totally not a video game console into store shelves. And, they accomplished this in a number of ways. From redesigning the NES to look more like I know we call it the toaster, but it was made to look like a VCR. It's made to look at like a home appliance.
Actually, one of the least toaster-like cartridge-using video game systems because toasters put things in the top.
You have to push down to start it.
Yeah, that's true.
Which also,
What? We lost that sentence entirely. You guys still there? Petty, at least?
Hello?
Hi, Adam. I
Yep.
hear you.
Anyway,
You didn't even get through where were we?
yeah, there we go. No idea why that's like it was working fine until just that second. Like, hello?
Hi, I was just listening to make sure that you were actually coming through.
All right. As I was saying, the robot operating buddy was designed to be a toy. Um, he's your
Adam, leave and come back. Reset your stuff.
I did.
We got the robotic operating buddy is designed to be a toy, and haven't heard anything since that.
Yeah. All right. How am I coming in now?
We can try the phone.
Yeah. I'm on my phone now.
Right. I'm
Like,
saying you sound fine for now, but you've always been sounding fine until you drop off in the middle of a sentence and I don't hear anything for 2 minutes.
yeah. Anyway, casting that aside, the the Rob was meant to really sell the idea of this being a toy kit to retailers. And I think I would agree that Rob is totally more of a toy gimmick, really, than a video game peripheral. Because
Certainly, it only
we
works
actually,
for certain very specific video games that are extremely gimmicky games.
well, and here's the thing. Here's the big secret. You don't even need Rob to play those games.
Yeah, its most interactive actual feature is its ability to push the NES buttons badly.
Yeah. Laboriously. Like one of the defining features of the Rob is its moving, at least with gyromites. I assume the same is for Stack Up. And on the note of gyromite and Stack Up, you can tell that so little care went into these games that, first of all, they are completely untranslated. The title screens just have the Japanese names, Robo Gyro, and I forget the other one. That's because,
Robo something else like Robo Stacker or something.
yeah. But that's because those games are just Famicom ROMs plugged into a pin converter.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, Robot
Which is actually,
Block.
yeah. Which is actually which was actually like one of the first ways people figured out to get conversion kits. For measure of time, at least like back in the day, Gyromite and Stack Up carts, though let's be honest here, Gyromite carts were prized because they had because they had fully functioning Famicom conversion, which meant you could pluck them out and, plug that in to, you plug your Famicom cart there and it can play on your NES Nintendo game system.
Yeah, because for all that they are functionally very similar, the cartridges for the two systems do have completely different dimensions.
Wasn't that the one that people could basically use for, let's say, homebrew, quote unquote, if you get my drift?
Yeah, we just talked about
All right, sorry.
not homebrew.
Well, I'm
not
being
homebrew,
civil about it, but yes, I know what you mean.
or not piracy either.
Well, yeah, the
playing
third,
efficient.
yeah, the third party ones too, not just
No,
No, those
the
could use
imports.
those usually they had a cart that plugged into the NES, and then you put another cart
Yeah,
on top of that cart. And what happened was that the third party cart had a pass through
right.
for when it checked the fucking verification chip or thing.
Yeah.
That was different. This was it has an officially made, like, it's just a converter for the pin sizes for the two different cartridges.
Mm.
yeah, no. This is a good way, a good early way of playing Famicom games.
Mm.
Yeah, because Famicom games were like about the size of like Sega Genesis cartridges, I think. And
Yeah.
NES cartridges are big and long, probably to look more like VHS things, and also because of the VCR style form factor, they needed to be longer to fit all the way to the back.
More to the point, they had different amounts of pins.
Right, that too.
And that's what's actually contained in Gyromite and Backup. Pin converter. And if you fish that out, you can play your Famicom games on your NES.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it takes a bit of technical know-how, but still, the people who did that had that knowledge. But yeah. So the Rob as a game machine was bad. But Rob's as a toy to sell to the masses was actually a decent success. Maybe not the definitive success that Super Mario Brothers became. Still, I think Nintendo made the right choice centering around the robot operating buddy initially, just because the retailers needed convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm more annoyed at the downstream effects that were unintended, because it's thanks to Nintendo classifying this video game machine as a toy, we got the extreme gender segregation in video games that's only starting to be corrected like in recent times.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a conversation for another day, I think.
Right.
Anyway, so you guys got anything else on Rob?
I do not.
I think I'm probably good.
Mm.
Most of my stuff
right.
is just gimmicks it's just minutia about the design and the fact that it was a different color here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was draped in NES colors, while the Famicom version was Famicom colored.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the literal difference.
Which is like reddish instead of gray, reddish and
Yep.
reddish and goldish.
Yep.
because part of it is
Anyway.
they wanted to make the NES look like an appliance.
Yep. Anyway, coming up on the week ahead, on Friday, April 10th, we'll be welcoming Alpha Chrome Yayo of Kaizen Gameworks to the program. Another video game composer interview. So I'm looking forward to that. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, we're having impressions of Generation Exile. I am really thankful that these are impressions. Because this is a deep-ass game that is also very intimidating, and things can go wrong really quickly. Anyway, Centipede Kun, Ghostmaster Resurrection, and Card Corner. Those are full-on reviews. Always awkward when we have the early access games. But anyway, and we have a new episode of MSP planned. I guess we'll see if Mac joins us. So until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.